Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Plastic Cards Podcast, the show where we break down the video game news of the week. My name is Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, indie game dev extraordinaire, and finally, after 20-plus years, a Pokemon League champion, Gavin Jones.
So far
Gavin,
from the truth.
I don't know if you heard, but there was this Pokemon anime where they finally let Ash win this Pokemon tournament. I guess he never won in the 20 years of the show, of the anime. So he finally won. But that was in the news.
So they got to change the theme song then, because he finally is the very best.
Yeah, he's almost like a struggling comedian where like 20 years later he's got like an actual special or something.
That's actually true. He never...
Yeah, apparently. It was reported like he almost won a couple of times, but he finally like won an actual champion.
What a dumb fucking show. No, I'm mad. Like, why?
That shows the kids that, if you struggle hard enough, 20 years later, you can... That's kind of legit,
that's
though.
That's life. Yeah, that's life.
And 20 years will pass like that, too. So.
Doesn't he take off when he's like 7 or some
yeah.
shit? Like,
he's got no education. He's going for it.
All he knows is how to make rats and birds fight.
Yeah, that's about it. It's like a legal Michael Vick, Pokemon tournament thing he's entering.
Michael Vick.
Yeah, these Pokemon don't get to choose, what's going on.
Right.
Did you see there was some kind of excerpt from like one of the last video games where it was like this Pokemon wears a mask from when it used to be human, and someone's like, "Wait, what?" It was like one of those bell-shaped Pokemon. Anyways, I don't know if you saw.
Well, now this just got me thinking about how like, what is it like, Mr. Mime? It's like if you're mean to your mom, like he'll marry her.
What? It's like that's in his one of his moves, or like in the breakdown.
It's like it's canon. It's weird.
It's just uncle, or not uncle, but stepdad, Mr. Mime.
Stepdad, Mr. Mime. So,
that's awesome.
Yikers.
Did you play any video games?
And quick, I think, although mom would prefer Machamp, though, if we're being
what's
honest.
the one with the like? He's got 4. Is that Machamp?
That
or
might
like
be.
Mr. Steal Your Family.
Machamp is 1 in that evolution. He may be the middle, but I can't remember where they are.
I wouldn't mind in some weird twisted fantasy mixing Machamp with that Gyarados, that weird like that huge like serpent thing.
How would that work?
You could just look dope if you had that as your head, but then you have the buff arms. Walk back into high school with that and just.
Well, we got that. Have you seen the Pokemon Fusion website where you can just fuse anything and it tends to come out really
that's
fucked
awesome.
up?
I've never even heard of that.
I think there's like 2 different versions that people kind of like go back and forth between.
I see.
But some of the fusions are actually impressive. Some of the times it's just because of like some of the funny names that come out of it. Like,
okay, now this is all the original ones.
What's the pretty good one though? Rat Bro.
Rat Bro.
Like, look at that. That looks like a real Pokemon.
That works. I think they're kind of excluding some, like ones that easily work with their formula. But what was I thinking? Is it Gyarados? He's like the Magikarp
Gyarados,
evolution. Yeah. Okay. So they're not in alphabetical order. So I don't know.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Can you press G while you're hovering over that?
Yes. But then it just takes you to 1G.
Well, keep pressing G.
Oh, okay. We're hacking here.
Wait,
Graveler. No, it's not. It's that tentacle looking, or not tentacle.
So this changes like the skin, but not the body. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, that's what I want. Damn.
If
I could trade bodies with
head
something.
is in its chest.
Yes. There's no neck there, so but the other Machamp doesn't have a neck either.
God, it looks like that one rock Pokemon just grew fucking legs and turned blue. And it's now. Can you do the opposite? Can you do?
Oh, you can trade it. Yeah. Whoa.
The fucking
quite
stupid
that
is
way.
that? Mados. Yeah. What was the name? The other name?
It was Girachomp or Gyrochomp.
Gyrochomp.
Yeah. If I could trade bodies with this, I would. It also reminds me of those. Is it Gutter Shark or what were those like?
Street Sharks.
Street Sharks.
Gutter Sharks. Look at this Gutter Shark over here. Fucking dumpster dolphin.
Alrighty, Gavin. Did you play any video games?
I played a shit ton of Borderlands, or at least a
yeah.
shit ton.
Okay,
for
I want to
me.
know what are your early impressions? What do you think so far?
I really like it. I was very nervous going in, picking my character. There was one like that I didn't care. I think his name is Zane. That I was just like, okay, you don't do anything for me, but the other 3 all do something for me.
Okay.
So it was a tough decision. So I picked. I think what's her name? It's not Maya.
Is she the one with the dope like spiritual like
yeah,
whatever attack
she's got all
thing
the
and
arms. So I was like, all right, I feel nervous, but I think she's the one. And now that I'm playing her, she plays like the fucking Doomslayer. Like
okay.
you're to increase your weapon damage, you need to be near enemies. So I'm just running into fights.
That's awesome.
Doing
Wow.
like slamming my move, which decreases my or like gives me huge resistance.
Okay.
And yeah, so just go in, start punching people in the face for like 3 times
That's dope.
weapon damage. The more like when my shield go down, then I'm just more dangerous. So
Gotcha.
it's just constantly playing more aggressive. The problem with that is I'm not like skilled enough with the guns to be effectively using it as much as like a skilled player could.
Okay. Are you using
But-
more short range or close range weapons then to counteract the fact that you have to like run up to people?
A good mix of both. Like it's sort of like I don't know. It's like you never know, you know, whether like you kind of just go with the good guns you get. And like
Gotcha.
I have this sniper rifle that like 3 shots almost everything.
Okay.
So it's like even though I'm geared to be short range, like I
You're right.
mean,
Right.
might as well. But
Does it let you kind of balance it, or you really have to, you know, go in one direction when you have this kind of build that you're working on where you're incentivized to get closer to enemies rather
Right.
than can you kind of, you know, choose or go back and forth, or once you kind of go one direction, you have to stay with that?
you can respec at any time. It's not even that.
Okay.
It used to be like half your money.
Gotcha.
And now, it like last time I did, I had 4,000, and it was like, oh, it's gonna be $800. It's
Okay.
like, well, that's not. Just throw that in the gutter. This is poor
Yeah.
people change. I
yeah,
can't.
you're just making it rain.
All right. The one thing in the gameplay, it's way more fun. I think the enemy behavior is way more interesting. The only one like minor complaint I have so far is there's over 1 billion guns in the game, right?
Yeah,
And
I've heard that.
due to that, and they have all these different models they can mix and match and create cool looking guns.
Right.
And so sometimes like you'll see a kick-ass looking gun with shit stats, and that's because you have over 1 billion guns, so that's just gonna happen.
Okay. Now, can you take stuff out of a gun and manipulate it
No.
or modify it? I see. Okay. So you kind of have to hope you randomly get something better or
Yeah.
just kind of keep looking. Okay.
Yeah, I mean there's some set stuff like I got this terrible RPG, or at least I've only used it against the boss. Maybe it's good, but it shoots out burgers.
I've heard of that. Yeah, yeah. I think early on they kind of showed that off. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
Is it like a side mission, or you just kind of randomly got it?
Was it a side mission, or it may have been a main mission?
Mm.
But it was not like a hidden mission.
Gotcha.
What the fuck was the context?
How many hours do you think you're in so far?
I don't know. I don't think it shows on
Gotcha.
Epic.
Yeah. If you could like ballpark it, what do you feel like as far as the time has gone?
16, 18 maybe.
Gotcha. Okay, you're pretty far in there.
Yeah, I'm off the first planet, which
Gotcha.
is
I know you can planet jumped right to multiple planets. That's cool.
yeah. That was.
Have you been to that cool sci-fi looking?
That's the second
like-
one that's the after Pandora. That's the first one you go
Gotcha.
to,
Nice.
and it's really cool. It's very different from Pandora, in certain ways better, in certain ways worse.
Okay.
But it's also weird because like the terrain, like they made the map 3D, and because of that, they felt the need to like I don't know make the levels more complex.
Gotcha.
So it's a bit kind of confusing. So that's another complaint is the map is inherently confusing.
See, that brings me, or that reminds me of the fact that the last one was maybe 7 years ago. So they're kind of left in that last iteration of shooters and that kind of that what we're used to movement in that time. So now, as everything has upgraded and there's vaulting and there's just a really focus on just fluid, just fast-paced movement, they have to add that in now. So do you think they're up to date enough, or because they have to kind of catch up, they're maybe like adding stuff to vertical and just kind of trying to show off like now that you can do that?
Maybe I think if the map was a little better, like maybe like exaggerate the heights on it so stuff was further away and you could see it a little bit better when you're looking at it.
Okay.
But it's really nice having more vertical maps. Levels as a whole are just cool. They're really
Gotcha.
pretty. It runs really well. And I think it gives the vehicles like they feel like they have more purpose and they're a little bit more customizable.
I forget about the vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't played much of Borderlands. Like I dip in, I think, to this Handsome Jack collection and the sequel years ago too. But I remember the vehicles. That was never really my thing. That's never what brought me in. But I guess I don't know if that's anyone's focus. But are you having fun while you're still driving around?
Yeah, I think that honestly, I think the shooting's better than Rage.
Gotcha. Really?
Rage
Wow.
2. So
'Cause I had a lot of fun with the shooting.
in
Rage.
the cars.
No, I'm thinking of the first person actual shooting.
Right. I
gunplay.
think that was more fun in that, but that was more designed around not being an RPG. That's just
Okay.
like you should kill somebody with this weapon in so many shots, right? You're not
Gotcha.
really upgrading that, or maybe I don't remember that being a thing.
You might have possibly done that, but you think the gunplay or the driving combat mechanism is more fun in Borderlands 3? Is what
Yeah,
you think.
even though it's like a little bit weirder controls because it's like Halo, so you
Okay.
can either back up and shoot or you
your
can move
acid
forward and
kinda
shoot.
sweeps
Yeah.
around. Yeah, okay, gotcha.
Maybe there's an option. I don't know that there's an option to do both. It'd be nice because like there's like a unicycle vehicle that's really
where it goes
fucking
around
cool.
you.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very fun. That one's one of my favorites.
I know that was in Wolfenstein too, one of the last ones, but it's like everyone wants some kind of bike like that. But
It's a cool idea until you have to drive it with the fucking wheel right there.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. But you were playing some Gears.
I was playing Gears, although I do want to one last question on Borderlands. So you're playing on
Okay.
PC, so what do you
Yes.
think so far on just like with your rig, how it can handle it? Is it adaptable to like, because you were kind of not on the lower end, but like you need some upgrades on your PC. So how does it run on your rig? I think there's somebody's being murdered in the next room.
No, it runs really well. I think,
Okay.
unfortunately, sometimes in combat, it'll lag for a second, which can be frustrating when I'm like running really fast. Somebody's hiding behind cover, so I slide past him and I'm trying to do a cool like shotgun him.
Right.
And it doesn't work out because of that little micro lag. So I'm
Gotcha.
like, fuck. But
Yeah.
it's very fun, and I feel like I think boss battles can be where it tends to be an issue with that.
Okay.
But because there's just so much shit going on. Also,
Right.
I got to a boss that fucking I had to go online because I'm like, I can't be crazy. This isn't that hard. And everyone's like, no, you need to grind up. Even though it says level 13, you need to be at least 16.
I see.
It's like, well, don't.
Right. Show me that I need to do that before I just like keep dying and dying.
Right. And everything leading up to that felt at my level.
Oh,
So
okay.
getting there.
Yeah, it's kind of an unnatural bump in difficulty.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, with Borderlands 3, I'm not super stoked to jump in, but I want to, hear about everyone's experience and kind of, I might wait a bit just because for some reason it's not scratching my itch, but I think in general, though, the Borderlands world never really called into me, but I know everyone had a good time, so I always end up jumping in eventually.
Well, if you do jump in and they have crossplay finally enabled, play a little bit co-op.
You got it.
Co-op.
Rip.
And be fun.
Okay. That's cool. Yeah, I'm interested to see, like, once you get to the end game, too, I know they were focusing really heavily on the end game in general, like how you can keep playing it. There's, like, another difficulty mode that unlocks at the end and just, like, the extra shit. Because it's not enough that you have, 100 hours. It's like, what's the end game? What do you do after this? It's because people will burn through this stuff immediately.
Right. Yeah, and they already have.
Yeah, that's nuts to me. But, I did play Gears 5. It was I had to wait, but it was one of the Game Pass games. And it's really fun. It's kind of cool because playing that beginning level, the intro level, it's basically, and I would love to see how this works on PC, but it's basically like a benchmark kind of level, like just visually. It's how can your rig kind of play this level is how it seems to me. Like it's just visually, it's fucking incredible. It's really great. I'm playing on Xbox One X, and it looks visually stunning. But I imagine on PC, it's just another level. But I can tell like they're almost scripting these levels to show you like right off the bat there's like crazy water effects and just like in particle effects. I think they're trying to have the next like crisis, like load this first level and see how your rig does with it, because it looks like graphically intensive. But
Fair enough.
But that aside, like of course it's beautiful, but it plays really well. It plays like Gears. I kind of dropped off in the last couple of Gears games, but this one has brought me back in. It's granted it's free because it's one of the Game Pass games. But I'm really digging it. I'm only about like 2 or 3 hours in.
Nice.
But I do like it.
How's it? So these games have always been like no slouch in terms of graphics. Like
Yeah.
And
at least the last ones, because like if you think back to the original Gears, it was very famous for being like gray and all monotone, like the colors kind of mushed together.
Yeah.
But now being removed, there's so much color in this newer Gears. Like they really focus on separating from that older kind of visual palette, and now it's a next gen game basically. Like it looks really really cool.
Yeah, I think it's also one of those games too where like looking at it like on a stream or a YouTube video doesn't really do it justice. You really had to see it.
Yeah, like just seeing it running in real time and no delay or no like taking it from like 4K to 1080p or whatever, whatever stream you're watching it on. But yeah, and granted, I'm playing it on a 4K television and on the Xbox One X. That's probably the prime way to play it. I wonder how it actually performs on Xbox One S, because it's kind of like, this is the end of the console generation basically. So I wonder how that first iteration does. Is it just like smoking? Is it, vibrating so much that it can't handle it? It kind of reminds me of Halo 3. If you remember, that was at the end of the Xbox 360's generation. And it was just like the last hurrah. It was squeezing the lemon, where it was like every graphical performance was everything was ticked onto the max, but it ran really well and it looked really well. So I get the same vibes with this one. It's like they're just pushing it to the limit. I think the Xbox One could keep going forward. Like, it's not like it can't handle it. It's just they're really trying everything on this last, run. But yeah, it's fun. Nice. Aside from the graphics, it's very fun. It's very, very Gears.
Aside from the graphics, it's very fun.
Yeah,
Don't like the graphics. It's too pretty. It's distracting from the gameplay.
In addition to the graphics. But like, it's funny because it's very Gears where you can...
You're the guy that read Playboy for the articles, aren't you?
I guess so, yeah. I was like, get these boobies out of the way. I need to read this. Hunter S. Thompson. But
did Hunter S. Thompson write for Playboy?
Yeah, he has a famous article in a Playboy where I think that's where he he actually goes to this. Is it the Kentucky Derby? He gets super duper high off his ass and writes about it. I want to say that's the whole the movie that was made off of that whole thing. It's like a race
in a desert or something.
It was something like that, but I know it was for this Playboy article. I think he would get the money and just like spend it all on drugs and then write about whatever happened. But he was famous for doing that. Just saying, just whatever assignment he got. Okay, cool. I'm going to spend that money on drugs, get high, watch the thing you want me to watch, and then interpret it off my, whatever peyote-induced mind.
How do you... Are they paying for the hotels as well? Like, how do you exist?
Yeah, I don't know. This is back in the 70s, 80s, where they could just kind of do it. And he would write so well that people were just like, okay, this is still gold.
It's weird gold, but it's gold.
Yeah.
And you played some Call of Duty as well, correct?
I did. I had a lot of fun with Call of Duty, surprisingly. So I pulled up some, I wrote down some notes as I was playing it, just so I didn't... talk completely out of my ass, but
like a journalist.
Well, there's just like notes of things that were coming to my mind of I was really happy with this. This is the beta. The last time they had it free to play was the alpha, which this one, so the beta eventually became free. I think you had to pre-order the game to get into the beta, which started like Friday.
Right.
I didn't want to do that yet, so I looked up online. People were apparently creating dummy PlayStation accounts that said they're from not Afghanistan, but like somewhere in the United Arab United Arab something. Emirates. There we go. You create a dummy account and then it's free. It's like, okay, I did all that and I was playing online, but then at like midnight, Activision's like, hey, everyone can play it, so it's free now. So I was like, okay, I did all this dummy stuff. Meanwhile, my nephew, we had him over the weekend, and he's like, oh, are you hacking? I'm gonna call the FBI because I think you're hacking, because I was creating a dummy account. So in his mind, I'm like doing something illegal. I'm like, okay, dude.
I can hear it in his voice. It's just very articulate.
It's like, well, I'm calling Donald Trump right now. I don't know if this is okay.
ICE? Is that ICE?
Yeah, I'm calling ICE. You're gonna pick up you and me in the process. But but yeah, that aside, I played it and it was a blast, man. It was really cool.
Nice.
Next, so they're doing these weird like slow releases of the alpha, the beta. It's on PS4 for free. Eventually, it's I think this next coming weekend it's on 360, Xbox One, and PC. So that's when they're testing the crossplay ability. So
that's going to be the real test, because so far I've heard the servers have been pretty good.
Yeah, as far as with PS4 stuff, it's been good. Now I'd be interested to see if you can try and get on PC. I wonder if there's I think you have to create a BattleNet account, which is free. PC can run it. You think so? Because then we could do crossplay and see how that works. Gotcha. Well, I mean, anyways, on PS4, it's working fine. Yeah. But yeah. So I just like the slight tweaks that they're making to make it fresh. One big thing for me is playing Call of Duty. I don't know, the past like 10 years or whatever. You're always kind of limited to the perks you can adjust, the adjustments on your gun in between game modes. Like you have that lobby.
Oh yeah, you can do it now, and it takes effect when you
now you can do it on the fly, and that's great. I don't know why we ever limited that, but you can test stuff, you can change stuff out. Do you have mixed feelings on that?
No, I mean, it's like you said, like, why was that ever a thing? Maybe it was just too hard to get all those menus loaded in alongside everything else, because that's a lot of gun images and stuff.
Sure.
Just keeping that road running smoothly. So maybe that's what it is now.
Do you think that was smoothly. A gameplay mechanic tweak, or it was actual performance thing that they were worried about?
I think part of it could have been as well. So like you're storing all your data, probably most likely. I mean, maybe you're storing it. Hell, probably not locally because that could allow people to cheat.
Mm,
So they're probably storing that on a remote server, and that's not the fastest to be going back and forth checking all
gotcha.
your available loadouts, your current loadouts, your skins. Like that's a lot of data. So you combine that with a fast-paced action of a multiplayer match.
Right. You don't want
Yeah, it's gonna slow stuff down. So it may have honestly been a technical limitation trying to keep all that running
that.
smoothly.
Gotcha.
So,
Yeah. So I mean, having that enabled is it's kind of it's kind of a no-brainer, but once it's there, it's like, okay, I can actually tweak stuff, which keeps me in the game longer because I don't have to wait for these menus. Often the time was where I was adjusting stuff after a match, and then I'm not watching the ticker that's somewhere in the corner, and then the next match starts. So whether I enabled that thing on my gun or not, it's, your SOL and you jump back into the game. So now you can just adjust it on the fly. That was really cool. So stuff like that. Not to go back to the graphics again, but the graphics are pretty amazing. Like, it's kind of funny because if you look at Ghosts, Call of Duty Ghosts, which was that first launch Call of Duty game and with these original consoles like on PS4, Xbox One X.
oh, okay.
That was the first one to launch with, and Ghost got a lot of mixed reviews, but they're using that engine that was, apparently like a beefed up engine. But to see that game and this game, it's like they're night and day. Like looks like a next gen game. It's pretty awesome. So that lends to the fact that they have this new lighting tech going on. So there's these night mode versions of the game,
Right.
which are super dope. So and it really plays with your strategy. So every time you aim, you have this laser sight, but that can be seen by other players. So you can't just aim willy nilly. You kind of have to plan your aims.
So here's the thing with that laser sight. Does it show like a full beam, or do you just see the dot?
You see
at
the
end?
beam all the way across. So
Okay.
I imagine in real life, I've never seen this in real life, but it looks realistic. So when you're aiming, you see this laser travel across the room, so you can actually visually see it. So you can play with that. You can see where people are. There's flashes on on scopes and stuff, or reflections. So it's just their lighting thing, I think, is what they've actually upgraded to allow all of this graphical stuff. There's upgraded textures and stuff too, but just that alone, like playing with light, or it's funny, like with flashbangs in that night mode, they actually work. There's a huge effect where if you throw a flashbang, you're basically blind. Like,
right.
Not just my character, I'm blind. Like my entire screen goes white. Or, I've just been zoning out, not blinking.
As a person, help me to the kitchen.
yeah. I need to use I have Megan help me to the bathroom. But so just playing with that, like with the light mode, with the new lighting engine. Yeah, I mean, I have no complaints. Like, it's really cool. I'm not this Call of Duty expert. I just end up getting suckered in every year. Like, I feel like every year I played, whether it's the return to World War II there was the blackout mode they did with the last one with Black Ops 4, and just like years before that, Advanced Warfare, and so you name it. I always get suckered in. But there's always something about the gameplay. It's always tight. Like for whatever criticism they get, they earn possibly. The gameplay is always tight. The gunplay is always tight. Right. And so, yeah, no complaints.
I heard very good things about the level design. Like now that they're doing not the 3-lane map for everything.
Yeah.
Like apparently the map was really, really fun that people were able to test out.
For sure. So with that first alpha, it was the 2v2 maps. I think there was 3 or 4 of them. Those are really balanced and just like perfectly. Yeah, it wasn't just these one lanes or a few lanes that you can go to. Now they've opened it up with the beta where there's these larger maps. But you can they're balanced enough and interesting enough where you're never quite safe. You always have to watch everything. They do a great job of balancing that. You don't have the same verticality with some of the last Advanced Warfare modes or games where you're just like jetpacking up. And, but even though you move that, you're still moving super fast. And there's still this somewhat verticality that seems realistic as you would normally be jumping around. So, yeah, it's pretty cool how they have the best people working over there, I'm sure. I want to say this is still Infinity Ward. This is maybe their last one they're working on. We could probably pull up the details, but I know they're working on this one.
After that, they all retire.
Yeah, but basically, that's the whole thing. I mean, I'm having a lot of fun. It's a bummer that I think this morning the beta ended, but then they're reopening it again this weekend, and that's where it's the cross play test where you can play Xbox One, PC. But yeah,
it's gonna be cool.
I'm pretty stoked for that. Did you play anything else by chance this weekend? Just a lot of Borderlands 3.
Yeah, I was just busy, and then Borderlands 3
Gotcha.
came out. Started playing that Friday.
Yep.
Saturday, pretty much all of Sunday.
Gotcha. Awesome.
It's too fun.
Let's get into some of the news, Gavin.
News.
You know what? I did play a little bit. I need to play way more before I actually talk about it, but I played a little bit of that Blair Witch game. It's another free-to-play
really?
game. I kept getting lost in the forest, so I played half an hour, and I got very mad, and I stopped playing.
You know what was funny is, you know how you always like joke that I just like go in and watch Twitch streams and watch the ends?
Yeah, that's
So I
100%
popped
what you
into
do.
somebody's Twitch stream, and I'm like, oh, this is pretty neat. And it was literally the end.
Oh, God.
So I saw a ending. There were multiple endings
Are there?
you
Okay.
can get.
Gotcha.
And I feel like she probably got the best ending. But I don't know.
Gotcha.
So,
I see.
but what you do does affect the ending, so that's pretty neat.
Okay, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just played a little bit of that. I want to get you in this room, pitch black, and I want you to play this game and just see you play it.
I'll be screaming. Your
That's
neighbors
fine.
will wonder who's getting murdered.
Let them wonder, Gavin. I want you to play this game. So pulled up some news. First off is some not super fun news, but it's about GameStop. GameStop already plans to close up to 200 stores, but could soon close even more. This is from CNBC. Sarah Whitten writes, between 180 and 200 underperforming GameStop stores are set to shutter before the end of the fiscal year. Notice I had to think if I read that correctly.
Right.
And more could be on the way. GameStop has blamed online shopping and digital sales of games for much of its sales misfortune in recent quarters. The company posted dismal fiscal second quarter earnings last week and slashed its same-store sales forecast for the year. On the earnings call, the company announced it would shutter up to 200 of its 5,700 global locations and hinted at a much larger tranche of closures over the coming 12 to 24 months.
Tranche?
That's how it's TRANCHE.
That's the name of my third girlfriend right there. Hello, Tranche.
With the eyebrow that just goes.
Be
across.
gentle.
Okay. How do you feel about GameStop leaving our hearts and minds very soon?
I mean, I don't like GameStop, but also I really don't wish it any ill will.
I feel the same exact way. Yeah. I never want to go there, but I also don't want to live in a world where it's not there, because I feel like people do go there and benefit from it. And
sure. I think, it was weird. I think part of it was my allegiance. Is that right? Yeah, my allegiance went to what was that game store that would be like in a Blockbuster?
Oh God,
Like
Game Zone maybe or
Game
something.
Zone, X Zone, something stupid like that. Like, so that was my allegiance. So when they went away, and there was just Blockbuster, I'm like, man, fuck Blockbuster.
Oh, do you remember Hollywood Video had its own too? If you remember Hollywood Video, Game Zone.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Well, there's GameZone.com. I don't know if that's the same thing.
Oh, probably
But,
not.
I think you're thinking of Hollywood Video, possibly.
It could have been Hollywood Video,
But
that was my allegiance.
I see. Yeah, it's so for me, I think I'm a part of this, breaking down of GameStop where I just buy digitally. That's all I have interest in. I make fun of I just ordered Control on Xbox. It finally arrived today. Mm-hmm. And
from 7 different Swedens.
Yeah, apparently. And so just stuff like that where it's like it takes time to get a game and then you have to load it, and it's just since I have access to really good internet, that's what I want to do. Like stuff like Stadia, Super, that's what interests me.
Right.
And I have no interest in
you don't have to have a download time. As soon as it hits midnight, you're like, well, I'm playing.
Right. You're streaming.
Holy shit.
Yeah, but that's only a product of people in areas where they have access to high-end internet, fast internet. So I think where GameStop really shines, or where they kind of stay, relevant, is the fact that it's a place for people to sell games back, to buy discs, and that kind of thing. It just has no interest to me.
But I feel like to a large, selling games back was a bad deal.
Yeah, it never helped the developers, right?
Well, it didn't really help the people that's selling them.
Gotcha.
It's like maybe when you just need that little extra bit of meth.
Yeah.
Just need that extra couple of quarters. Like your dealer's being stingy. He needs you to pay the whole $5. I don't know how much meth costs. I assume it's
have
cheap.
Some meth here so we can try it.
Right. We've got 2 nickels worth of meth.
What will this buy me? I have 2 nickels. You just get shot if you try to buy meth that way.
Did you say nipples? Nickels.
Yeah. Well, I'm shooting both your nipples just in case. Yeah, they kind of created, a lot of, and rightfully so, a lot of issues where they were selling. You could buy a new game. You could also buy it used for $5 off. It's like, why not just buy the new game for $5 more that actually goes back to whatever the developer, the publisher, but they kind of created this market where, of course people want the cheapest thing, so they're going to get the $5 off version.
And every time I've got one, it's been scratched to shit. Like, I feel like it just makes me think of, like, back in high school, hanging out with my stoner buddy, and he just left his fucking disc on top of his, like, shiny side down on top of his fucking skateboard, right on the grip tape. It's like, you monster.
Then he drops in for a 180 grind or whatever. This is the same guy who's rubbing his nipple with the disc or whatever? Different
close.
stoner
That
guy?
was, they were best friends. So.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's one thing. I just, I don't like to see it, but I feel like it is the direction we're going. It's inevitable.
It's inevitable.
Yeah.
I mean, Netflix and Redbox definitely killed off the big box stores, if you want to call them that, which is an inappropriate term to call them. But
is it?
Well, it's like a big box store is like a Walmart, or like a Target or something.
Gotcha.
Where I see. It's the wrong term, not inappropriate, but inaccurate.
Gotcha. Now, you know what? I do think they're holding on for dear life, but they're holding on for this next generation because that's where there's going to be a sale of actual consoles. And I feel like that's where they can make some money. And now at the end of this console generation, people aren't buying newer consoles, so that's the next holdout if they can do that and then sell after that. But I think they are.
I think you're totally right. The problem is no one's going to buy. Literally no one is going to buy that. Like, you're not going to have your dumbass Justin Timberlake buying not Facebook. MySpace after it's well and dead.
Right.
Like, Shaq's not going to do that.
Well,
Shaq may not see straight, but he sees straighter than that. Like,
he sees dollar signs, but not here. Well, do you remember
I can do my go bond.
That's pretty good.
Actually, do you know?
I just thought I was transported
here.
Are you
aware
next to
that he absolutely loves Shaq impressions?
Oh yeah, there was hot ones with.
You saw that. He was all about it.
He's like, Shaq loves my impressions.
Dude, he fucking rocked those wings. Like, I feel like he prepped. He definitely prepped.
He might just have. Some people have different tolerances. Like so maybe it was just.
But that shit's hot, and they went. Oh yeah. They went pretty hot with him, so he prepped.
I don't remember the first one, his original one. So where if he did the same, because I know he finished that first one, but I don't know how he did on it. But.
I think it was astounding though with some of his impressions. Like, his Keanu Reeves definitely, like, I just closed my eyes and he disappeared, and Keanu Reeves was there.
I wish he got more credit for. He's fucking amazing at these impressions, and he has like a broad range too. It's pretty nuts.
Right.
I watched SNL when he was on it. I don't think they used him as much as they could have because they had Obama at the time, or he was in his presidency was at the time, so they used him for that and a bunch of other impressions and stuff. But he was still funny regardless. Like, they should use him more. But it is what it is. But
we'll just get him a show with I want to say Megan Mullally, but that's not even close. Who's
she a comedian?
Yeah, she's a comedian, and she's got the short hair. She has long hair. She's blonde. She does like the redneck lady that gets abducted by like the aliens and shit.
Oh yeah, Kate McKinnon. I want to say.
Yeah, we'll get Kate McKinnon and him a show where they just do weird ass impressions at like energy level 11.
They could do a podcast. Good. They could easily do a podcast where they just shoot the shit. And, there's certain people where they're funny on their own, just shooting the shit. Like, as far as comedians go, and I'd rather they do that than another scripted format where they maybe aren't able to write the script and they have to just like. They're funneled into something. I'd rather see them like, you're funny, put a camera on you, just go and then watch that.
By the way, so very short tangent because I know this is about games, but I just saw this trailer for this new Paul Rudd show on Netflix.
I saw the image. I haven't watched it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll let you watch it, but fuck, it's a mean idea for a plot. It's just mean.
We should watch this at the end.
Oh,
okay. I love me some Paul Rudd.
It's a long trailer. Like, it explains the whole premise.
I don't like those. I get into my old man mode where it's like, don't show me the entire thing in the.
It's not gonna like. I want to know what he's gonna do in this really mean situation.
I know there's 2 Paul Rudds. That's the whole gimmick, right?
Yep.
For some reason, I don't know if it's what's going on, but
yeah, you'll find out.
Well, Gavin, much like Paul Rudd, GameStop is on its way. No, I was trying to segue back.
Paul Rudd is a national treasure, you asshole.
Just like GameStop. Where else are you gonna sell your Call of Duty 5 back? Related to the whole GameStop bad news of them closing 200 stores, there's this redesign that was leaked today. So they're
Of GameStop?
of GameStop. They've talked about publicly how they're reformatting the visual style and just an effort to kind of get back on track.
That's the fucking problem.
No, 100%.
This is like, what is it, Chili's? That's like, we need more millennials, so we're gonna put. What was their plan? I don't know. Touchscreen stuffs in the booths?
Oh yeah, are people dabbing and skateboarding and stuff? Yeah. So no, I'll upload this video as well, but I'll show
like
you
your run of the mill like game store around.
Yeah, like a local.
I know it's been a.
So this was
is Dabbing Dan here.
It's just
We're
a
checking
preview.
out the new GameStop.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I love it. It's a slight redesign of the visual style of GameStop. So they're doing this. They're apparently rolling this across the country, but it's just like maybe a focus on their retail stuff, which I think is the key for them staying alive. Turn into a hot topic basically that's about games.
Ooh, that's actually not a terrible plan.
Yeah.
Even though Hot Topic is kind of already.
They already exist. It looks like they have. Interesting enough, they have a game center here. So they have a Magic gathering kind of table. And they have these horrible CRT TVs, but they have older.
Well, that's for Smash, and
they have older consoles.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay,
better.
so that's why that they're doing that. But so they're focusing on playing games in there, which makes sense because there isn't a lot of places across the country where you can go and play old school games and card games. So maybe they rebrand as that. But so it's just I think not a focus on that, but they're featuring games being played live. They have their old school games that you can buy as well, and then the disc-based games as well.
That's not a terrible plan. I mean, it's kind of like an attack on mom and pop shops because
That's true.
They've reformatted this giant into a mom and pop shop.
Yeah, they're doing what they're doing. They were seeing that and going, okay, cool, let's do that to stay alive.
Yeah.
And they have the funds to really throw money at it, like the mom and pop shops might not have the same funds.
Right. I think the number one thing they can do, and I think this would make it a full-fledged success, is just add taps. Add beer. Get them a liquor license for each store. You add beer to that, like you're solid. People are gonna go there. They're gonna play Magic the Gathering. They're gonna buy some more packs.
Right. And make money off the beer. Like that's how places survive, is making money off drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Bam, just turn to a restaurant. Although they have a wide range of ages though. So I mean, maybe like at night you have the GameStop after hours or whatever, and then you do the night that you do the drink. I like that idea.
There was a sketch. There was a what was it? Hey, Ash, what you playing? GameStop after dark.
Oh really?
It was pretty funny.
I forget about it. Hey Ash, what you playing? I like.
Right?
I think she's a voice actor now, right?
She's a voice actor.
Maybe she always
and
was,
Anthony. Well, I mean, she got more into it after I think that helped her really launch her career.
Gotcha. I remember her videos on game trailers. There might have been elsewhere, but
no, it was definitely game trailers. Launched a lot of people, really.
Gotcha.
Which I still always love because we were talking about Borderlands, about how it launched perfectly. I remember there was that one financial advisor that would talk on game trailers, and he predicted that Borderlands was going to be a huge failure. And that was like one of his big spots is people love to bring up is like, you thought it was going to be a failure. And it's like, well, okay, I'm wrong sometimes. Like,
of course you're wrong. Well, was he predicting it when it was like still close to Borderlands 2? And because they waited a while.
No, it was Borderlands 1 because it was in that fear period of that game. So he's like, no one's gonna buy this. They're gonna save their money for that next game.
Gotcha.
And maybe he just didn't like the look of it. Maybe he didn't like. He's like violent plus toon shading. Like I don't know his
also like
reasons.
Your dad telling you what's gonna be popular.
He is, and I don't think he actually played games. Like this is not Reggie Fils-Aimé where he's off playing like. And Reggie played some nerdy ass fucking games that I won't even touch. Just like this is, but.
I see. Yeah, I forget that guy's name. I want to say Randy Pitchford, but that's like the.
It's not. That's the Borderlands
Gearbox
guy. Yeah, Gearbox.
Gotcha.
That is also I thought was a weird touch is Randy Pitchford or like in the intro for Borderlands. It's like when it does the Gearbox though, it goes Gearbox. It's like this little kid. It's like this is not helping you distance yourself from the child porn story, Randy. This is not helping.
There was some
you in
USB. Wasn't it like a USB that had a weird video on it?
It was like Anyway, we don't need to get into that.
Well,
honestly, it makes it sound worse if we don't get into it because it's like the
I
story.
know there's a questionable video or like crazy graphic video that was on a USB. That
it wasn't crazy graphic. It was like he was watching. It was like a webcam thing, like one of those ones where you talk to him.
Yeah.
Which I still feel weird about. Like I don't know how to feel about that.
Like you talk directly to the dude.
Yeah, you're like chatting with them.
Oh, okay.
And they do. And he recorded it, and it was on a thumb drive, which still, despite the fact that like he's the head of Gearbox, he doesn't answer to a bunch of people. Like he's the guy.
Yeah.
So he technically can do that work, but it's fucking creepy. And then it's like barely 18, which like I think at a certain age, like you should probably stop. And,
Yeah. If you're past like 40, if you're interacting with that whole thing.
And that was the question: is like, was she actually 18? She might have not been. She might have been. I don't know how it all worked, but
I see.
so
Well, him and R. Kelly can figure it out in the future.
well, R. Kelly's a different story, all told.
Okay, that was the same.
He's not enslaved. Like, yeah, Randy Pitchford isn't enslaving little girls onto his USB stick.
Yeah. Gotcha. Well, Gavin, we got some news that we missed last week. This
the
was
Nintendo Nuva ring.
Yeah, I guess. I will buy it if it's a new ring. But so Nintendo Switch new Ring controller game is Ring Fit Adventure. So did you see the initial launch of this?
I saw them showing people using it. I saw nothing on the screen.
Right. So, and I think it was like a potential, here's what we're working on, but then it's tied to an actual game now. And so it's this disc or ring-based device that you can use on your Switch, on the Joy-Con. There's like tension activated, so you can use like a bow or something, but there's also gyroscope or like, motion ability where you can balance with it. Then there's this like leg strap, kind of like almost like a thigh gun strap for your other Switch.
Right. It does look like a thigh gun
strange.
strap now that you pointed out.
This is also very Nintendo though.
Yeah.
This whole thing. So it's like, it's not, at this point, it's not, weird anymore. It's like, oh yeah, that's what they do. They make shit out of cardboard too.
No, I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, I think interesting. Like that's a cool
intentional idea. Fitness. Like I still, it makes me think back to high school with, I don't know if you ever met, you probably met him, our buddy Matt. He was
possibly
he was obese, and he started playing DDR, and he dropped like 30 to 40 fucking pounds playing DDR. So it's like,
that's awesome.
All right, maybe there's some merit to
there's
this
something
stuff.
to it. Oh yeah, 100%. Like there was this cool Switch boxing game where you hold the Joy-Cons and you're just doing all these boxing and maneuvers, and they're actually pretty detailed where they show you different techniques. It was really cool. I didn't keep playing it, but I was like, okay, yeah, if you kept doing this and we're actually committed, yeah, you could totally lose weight. Like there's something to that. It's just matching the right game with that kind of thing.
Now, do they have a yoga game? But at that point, I feel like yoga would be better with.
You could do this with yoga.
Watching the gal do the.
Yeah, or the just the springy thing that's going on there, like the shake weight kind of manipulation.
I was actually getting mad the other day at the gym because there was like a guy and a gal doing like super like aerobic workouts.
Okay.
For like I'm doing the cycle, and I can see them in the reflection going for like an hour straight, just skipping around the fucking gym, endless energy. I'm like, you fucking.
We're just like, just get the fuck out of here.
Assholes, how are you smiling?
Yeah.
You dicks.
Where you're just like, you put your foot out just to trip them.
I would have.
Just ruin their happiness.
I would have stared them in the eyes while doing it so they knew.
There's that Luigi stare from like, is it?
Yes, exactly that. Mario Kart. Yeah.
Mario Karts where he's just like that death stare in slow motion.
The graphics of what am I staring at?
So this is the game, Ring Fit Adventure reveal trailer. We're looking at footage of it. So this lady's running around, and in game, she has this kind of, it's like a cel-shaded kind of thing. So as you jump up these steps.
It's kind of pretty. Am I wrong?
Yeah, it's not bad at all. Yeah, it looks really cool. I feel like if you could pair this, they've got the movement down almost where if you can pair this with VR, maybe that's a huge leap. But like part of the issue with VR is moving or pairing the actual movement with your character. And like they're doing a good job of like your, with these, with the Joy-Cons, like actually registering jumping and aiming with your body. There's this weird, there's a like a squat for some reason. Okay. You're like, it's almost like a turn-based, game, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, and you're just like...
I mean, I guess if you're, like, holding the position... I think if you really, like, add a lot of, like, randomization and, like, keep adding content, this could be a really good idea.
Yep.
Are they going to put that much money towards it? I don't know.
I don't know. I think they could. I wonder if they have a separate team that's doing stuff like the what's the Labo... the cardboard games.
Right.
They're developing that. They're developing this kind of motion stuff. If they have a team that's like, hey, just kind of pair a game with this device.
This is interesting. This weird fight system. The one thing I will say that this is 1,000 times better than the Wii Fit board.
Yeah, it seemed wonky. I never tried it, but it seemed like that Tony Hawk like ride kind of thing.
You're just going to break it. Like this you're not going to break.
No, yeah. I think they did a good job of let's pare this down to a simple device that will still register movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This could be kind of fun.
I'm interested in it. I haven't seen any info on price yet. And so it's coming October 18th. That's super duper soon.
Yeah.
So we will get a price point very soon.
I mean, the expensive part of this is not going to be that little thing. It's not going to be the leg strap. It's going to be, what it costs to develop all this content for the game. So
Sure.
if this is popular, then that's cool. I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot.
Well, we'll try it out.
My roommate's going to be looking at me like, you fucking nerd.
You walk in with your, what? I just got the new thing. And cut to it just sitting in your closet for months.
With my GarageBand shit.
Yeah.
Do you have any I definitely have tossed all my GarageBand shit.
No, but maybe 2 years ago I rebought everything.
Why?
Because I got this kick where I was like, oh, I want to play this. And so there's a local place called One Up Games where you can buy this stuff.
Oh, right.
And I bought it. I bought the drum set. I bought the fucking guitar, not the mic. But I just got into this kick where I was like, I want to play all this stuff again.
Mm-hmm.
And I played it for, a week. And then I was like, okay, well, this takes up way too much room. And to store it is a nightmare where everything falls apart. And you got these aluminum tubes for like the drum set. And yeah, it was a mistake. But, for a little while, it was fun. But I did recently buy all this stuff back. This is maybe like 2 years ago.
Right.
But no, there's no other reason for it to have that stuff in your house.
I always wanted to use that stuff for, was it Control Alt Jam or whatever it is, or Control Alt?
Is
It's
that
like you
like a
make
game jam
games
thing?
with like alternative controllers. Like
Gotcha.
example is like the spring that you use to stop a door.
What? That's awesome.
It's
the little doing thing.
It's so fucking hard too because you have to. It's what is it called? Like Wiggle Rider or something like
How
that.
does it create input for a button?
It's really weird. Like you have to wiggle it just right. So like the more you wiggle it, the more forward you move.
Okay.
But it's also a 1D game. So it's on this just strip of lights, and you have to get through this obstacle course of enemies. It's one of those things you have to like play
Gotcha. And then you can
to understand.
You can
But
figure it
yeah, you're like wiggling it just right.
out. Yeah.
And then eventually the ladies in the room are like, well, close enough.
Yeah. Well, this reminds me of college. So yeah, we got the new Ring controller. It's called Ring Fit Adventure. We'll see when it. So it's October 18th is when it comes out. I am, positive about that. I like the fact that Nintendo still. I mean, they're a toy company and they still make these weird peripherals, and I like that.
It's better than the heart monitor.
I never used that, but I think I forgot. That
It
kind of
never got
quickly-
made.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it was a concept that
I
never
see.
came to fruition.
Gotcha. Well, there's this other patent that Nintendo has filed for
What
it.
the fuck am I looking at?
It's a weird Joy-Con that can collapse or bend forward. So it's almost like you can click it forward and back again.
Oh, so it's actually comfortable.
That might be what it is. Yeah, adjustable Joy-Con.
So it probably doesn't even bend. It probably just has an angle, so you're not sitting
You might
there
be right.
hating your life as you're playing. So it's not going to be as good when you split it in half, but it's not going to be a nightmare when you're using it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Let's do that. Let's have that
Exactly.
be the default way that the new handheld only version
You know what?
works.
And it has a sliding. It has a sliding mechanism to where it can slide on. It looks like it can slide onto an existing Joy-Con. Where
But
you
what's
don't
that
have
going to do though?
I think it's just more of a comfortable,
Right. I don't
set
think
up,
that,
but-
I don't think that's sliding on. I think that's just the way that's built. That's the rail. So it'll hold on
sure.
to the whole system,
but it
you
stays
have-
that way.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the
yeah.
top part is
see what
knocked
you mean.
down. Oh,
Gotcha.
that's much better.
That seems like it. Now it's a patent. Companies patent stuff all the time and never, end up using it. So we'll see. But I do hope this comes to fruition. So
Yeah.
I did pull up. This is also from. So the first Ring article was from Polygon. ONS Good also writes about this weird patent for new Joy-Cons. A strange patent application Nintendo filed in Japan has fans guessing at its purpose. Even before the necessary speculation of whether it'll actually become a peripheral people can buy for the Switch. But there it is, a pair of Joy-Cons with a hinge. The hinge flips the upper portion of each Joy-Con, left thumbstick on the left, face buttons on the right, downward or away from the user at about a 20 to 30 degree angle, shown against the natural posture of a hand with its thumb in the stick. This seems to be the ergonomic improvement. There appears to be a second design with the bottom of the controller slightly angled as well. For extra ergonomic grippiness, the Joy-Con retains a straight inner railing so that it still attaches to a standard Nintendo Switch, and since the dock's housing doesn't extend past the screen's width, that's of no concern for a Switch fitted with a couple of these. So, interesting. But it's still a patent.
Yeah, I don't think it'll actually hinge like that in the end. Like, think about the original patent for the Switch, where it was like that disc with like the sticks in the middle.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay.
Like
okay.
it's gonna be different.
Gotcha.
But
We have flies, I think, that have multiplied in the same room. There's one fly, and then it turned into more flies.
The secret is I'm actually secretly a fly.
I gotcha.
And I'm bringing my people in.
There was a this
Can't
is another.
stop us all. Remember, the Area 51 run coming up.
That was canceled. Did you hear about that?
Don't let Facebook brainwash you. Mark Zuckerberg doesn't want you to know his
The Illuminati
secrets.
and Donald Trump are in support.
I wonder, like, if he wasn't president, whether he would support the run or not. I
He's
feel like he
I'm
would.
gonna be at
He'd be about it.
the Naruto run, whatever.
Let's find out what they're hiding.
Yeah. We also need Obama's birth certificate here.
That's what they're hiding
Yeah.
in there. So
They're using
Obama's-
aliens to guard the.
Did
birth
you know he actually did give his birth certificate
I think
at
he
some
did.
point?
Yeah.
Yeah, people like people were asking for
Yep.
it years after he gave it out, which is
Yep.
hilarious.
And still, Trump hasn't given his tax reports. That's his birth certificate, but he's not going to do that. I'm sure.
It's not, I think to the people that voted for him at this point, they don't care. Like they come back and say nothing and be like, well, we knew that.
No, he could take a shit on.
We don't know why you're fighting for
Oval
this. We already
Office.
knew.
Yeah. And this has been Political Corner, Gavin.
This has been political corner. That's been a weird thing. I'm starting to throw out like a little bit on dates now. It's just like,
To
hey,
see where they
just,
land.
Yeah, see where it is. Like I threw out on this last one. I was just like, hey, it's cool that this bar is like really LGBT friendly. And she's like, oh, that's neat. I'm like, well, good, because that was.
They're like, oh, let's not go there. Or you're like, hey, build that wall, right? And just to see
Like
what
you
they
can do it just in your own home. It's like, well, I don't.
Well, they're attacking Christianity, and they
Yeah.
go, oh, okay, well, let's.
Do you have to be gay in public? And it's like, well, you gotta get to the store sometime. Just.
That's a good. Yeah, I like this. The sly, subtle little like hints at
Right.
some bigotry.
Wireless controller.
Well, Gavin, just like bigots in we have the Nintendo Wireless SNES controller. These are expert transitions.
Speaking of bigotry, this was carved out of one big old tree. The NES controller.
Literally. So this was showing off with the whole new SNES games that you could download on the online portion of the Switch. Now you can actually pre-order this controller. It's a SNES controller for the Switch, although you have to have the Nintendo Online subscription to pre-order it. So that's the
Weird.
downside. But so I pulled up the article from TheVerge.com. Sean Hollister writes, Nintendo's wireless SNES controllers for Switch are now available to buy. If you're hankering for the perfect classic controller to play the Nintendo Switch's new collection of downloadable Super Nintendo titles, you may be happy to hear that the company's new retro wireless SNES gamepad is available for purchase. Assuming you're a Nintendo Switch Online member, of course. That's because just like last year's wireless NES gamepad, Nintendo will only let you buy one if you're already paying the $4 a month or $20 a year subscription fee that gives you the games to begin with. Don't expect them to be much use outside classic Nintendo titles. That's really what's going on. It's still a dope controller. Like I want
It
one of
is.
these.
Yeah.
I'd love to play like Celeste with this controller.
Is that? I'd like to know if that's the first controller to have shoulder buttons. It's probably not.
It's
but
probably not, but that in my mind that's the first like popular one or
Yeah.
mainstream one. But you might be right. I'm sure there's other PC like add-ons that existed through the years that had that before.
Wow.
But yeah.
It was a good controller.
Yeah, I actually really dig that controller. There is other, I think it's like 8-Bit Dough that does these other retro controllers. So there's one just like the SNES controller, but it has thumbsticks on it. They've done stuff like that works with your
Oh
Switch.
yeah, I've seen that. I think that my definite issue, besides me just not having online, is like since I've gotten the new Pro controller, God, it's just ergonomic heaven. That thing. It feels
it's the
good
actual
in your hand.
Nintendo Pro controller.
Yeah, the official one. It
Gotcha.
just feels good.
Nice.
I mean, bear in mind it's exactly the Xbox controller,
Yeah.
but feels good.
They went, oh, what's going on over there? Yeah, just do that. Just do that. Just stop with this.
We don't know why we get sued for the Wii or the Wii remote, but
yeah.
for some reason, just blatantly copying Xbox.
That's
we
true.
flipped the letters.
Maybe there's more money to be made in court to actually
Yeah.
go against that lawsuit. But
Yeah. Did you see the little bit of I retweeted the little bit of shade that Xbox threw at PlayStation
Yeah.
for calling it the cross?
Yeah, no matter what we do, it's all we all play on with the X button. And
Right.
PlayStation was recently like, hey, it's a cross button. But
That's so weird. Like this many years later, that's over 20 years later. Like, no, it's the cross.
right.
And when you, to be fair, in that tweet, when you see them all next to each other, you can sort of see how it's not necessarily an X.
Is it because it's a wider kind of,
Yeah.
thing? It's more of a less than an X where it's more angular.
Yeah, it's very much more angular. They tend to have like flattened off tops and bottoms.
Gotcha.
But
this
it,
has the angled ones for each.
right. But at the same
makes
time, it's
but
an
everything
X.
else is an X. But I think we talked about last time where it's like this is a Japanese developed console company, and the X in Japanese is a negative thing,
Sure.
negative connotation. So that's why they say, hey, it's actually cross.
Yeah.
But we're like, yeah, fuck all that. It's an X. We're Americans.
We like to think of the cross about imperialism invading in our. I don't know if that was the
Yeah,
thing.
it's
But
loaded.
there was definitely a bug murdered by this disc that I just didn't.
Well, Kevin, how dare you? There's 4 flies now. There's 1 fly in this room. Actually, there was 0 because I killed one before you came in here. Now there's 10 flies.
Is the window open?
I don't know. When you said you're made up of flies, I just watched this Matrix breakdown. You remember the Matrix Online? Yeah, this is a side tangent.
Where we go?
We're going down. Buckle up. The Matrix Online. I watched recently after the whole Matrix movie news that came out a couple of weeks ago, where they're making another one. Everyone was talking about how the Matrix Online was a canonical sequel to the Matrix Revolutions, the last Matrix. The story carried on in that game.
Why did they make all the video games canonical?
Well, not all of them exactly. It was Matrix Online carried because like Path of Neo was like a what if. I mean, you played the
I
actual
thought
games.
Path of Neo was just like the game, the movies.
It was all of Neo's interactions, like his actual like parts of the movie, and then this other weird tangent they did at the end, where it's like a boss battle with Mr. Smith. Anyways, Matrix Online followed the story after Neo died. I didn't realize that.
Neo died?
Well, at the spoilers for a 20-fucking-year-old movie, but Matrix Revolutions, Neo dies, or his
I don't remember that shit.
yeah, he like gets put back into the system, into the Matrix, and his body's left over, and the robots take
Didn't
his
you
body.
just watch these movies?
Mhm,
You should
yeah.
know.
Yeah,
okay.
he does. He's physically dead. His mind is put back into the Matrix to even out the whole like issue with the program with him like causing imbalance because he's the one.
Right. That was the big issue.
His mind goes back to the system to kill Mr. Smith to even that out, and so in addition or because of that, the robots make an allegiance with the humans to stop the war. That's how the movie ends. Then the robots are taking his body away somewhere, and that's how the movie ends. In the Matrix Online, they carry on the story. And Morpheus is still looking for Neo's body. He's convinced that the robot's going to do something weird with it. So he's looking
Why
for the
wouldn't
body.
they do something? They have
Exactly.
no incentive not to.
Exactly. But in addition to that, so Morpheus he kind of goes nuts, and he starts this rogue, almost like a terrorist cell, where they're trying to pull people out from the Matrix. So the deal was, with the end of the Matrix, the humans can willingly leave the Matrix if they want. The robots have to let them. So they're trying to forcibly show people that the Matrix is real and that they want to get out of it. So they develop these fucking crazy I love to see this visualized. They create these bombs that they detonate that they erode the Matrix around people who are there. So so they see the code and everything
They
decode.
are terrorists at that point.
Yeah, and they start to realize, oh, I'm in a fucking tube. And so everyone, they lose their mind when they see that happen. So they're not pulling people, they're killing people. Anyway, so that's happening. But there's this guy who's an assassin who's made up of flies. And that's why I thought of this entire thing. There's a trench coat looking dude with like a porcelain mask. He's an assassin. He's made up of these like digital flies. So whenever he kills someone, he just floats away and you can never trace him. He eventually kills Morpheus, this assassin.
They did have some. Oh, he kills Morpheus.
He does.
Holy shit.
Now this is all in the fucking Matrix Online, which was nuts. The servers are down. This is dead. But like this was a crazy legit story that was going on.
Yeah.
Apparently approved by the Wachowskis. But not long after they created it, they ran into a bunch of problems. They cut the servers. There's gameplay issues, but it was a cool, iteration of a story that was awesome. But it kept going, and just people didn't realize it. But yeah, this is all from me. I wish I'll find it and link the YouTube video. But I found they lay out what exactly happened with the story in the Matrix. But there's cutscenes in there. There's like legit cutscenes in the game. There's these live events. They're doing that. Really, it seems like before everyone was doing the live events.
Yeah.
It was pretty nuts. So a lot of props to Matrix Online. So if you wanted to know about the weird shit that happens, and there's plenty more weird stuff that happens too. But yeah, so that's why I find weird about the new Matrix movie that they've announced is that Neo's back in and Trinity's back in. And Trinity doesn't survive the last Matrix either.
Oh, she definitely died the fuck up.
Yeah, she died. So I don't know what they're gonna do.
God.
There was so I could go on and on with the Matrix, but. Yeah, so we'll see what
They're
happens.
just gonna Johnny Silverhand it.
Did you hear that you can't romance Johnny Silverhand in Cyberpunk 2077?
Well, you can if you close your eyes.
in my at home novels, yes, you can. So I'm working on that. Now, Gavin, another huge high-profile game that's coming out. It's Death Stranding. So they showed off at TGS. They showed off this huge. Yeah, they just put it on the table, whipped it out. It's 80 minutes of Death Stranding gameplay. Now, I haven't watched all the gameplay. I pulled up some excerpts from Games Radar, kind of talked about 54 things that you might have missed. Did you watch any of the footage?
No, I'm trying to go into this game blind.
Me too. So I watched maybe about 10 minutes. When it premiered, it was like 12 a.m. here, and I was like, that's cool. I got to go to sleep. There's a lot of cool stuff, but I also, just like you, wanted to go blind on it. So I'll pull up some of the, we'll talk about some of the concepts. So,
but I heard it made it kind of make sense. Like, it's not all the way making sense, but it's making a lot more sense now.
Sure. Not to me. I didn't watch the whole thing, but you can, I don't know if making sense is the right word, but you can see what the game is now. Like, you can see there's this emphasis on you have to take Norman Reedus across whatever portion of the United States, traveling with packs of stuff. You have to deliver stuff.
Right.
And it looks like aid to parts of it looks like the country's been at war or fractioned somehow. You have to take aid to across the country into various places. And you're kind of paid to do that with this company, Riggs. And
Riggs!
So you have a part of the mechanic, a big part of it is like weight.
Sure. And that's
just
cool.
with weight.
I think that could be fun.
Yep.
Even though it's like, it's going to be one of those things that you hate it, but also like.
Right. Because you have to then strategize. Okay, I can put packs on my legs, on my arms, on my back, and that messes with my my stamina. And you have to actually traverse the world. You can fall over. There's momentum. There's physical like things you can use, like that extending ladder to get across places.
Right. The magical.
Yeah, but that does have a limit. Apparently, you can upgrade that ladder too. But and you can leave that ladder. I'm not sure how that affects you, but you can leave that ladder for other players to make it easier for them.
What the fuck?
Yeah. There's also
how delightful.
You can see footsteps and remnants of other players in your playthrough.
It'd be nice if you could see a little ticker saying like this many players have used your ladder.
That'd be cool. Yep. And just you can actually see like the gamer tag of the person that left it, kind of thing. There's like a weird Facebook-esque, like system in the game too. As you do things for whatever factions, like deliver products, you can develop a rapport and like a like system. I think that's also how it ties. They haven't showed it yet, but like the social media aspect of the game, which he was teasing like early on. That's that's a part of it too. The weight system's a big deal.
It's got me thinking a little bit of Rage when it's like you're getting like points for factions you haven't even met yet.
Sure.
Like,
it's possible. Yeah.
Who are you random people on the internet?
We talk about stamina. One thing that's pretty cool. So energy drinks are in the game, and Monster Energy is an actual sponsored energy drink in the game. Yeah. And you have this whole thing called like a private room, which is where you gear up, but also where did you ever play Metal Gear Solid 5?
No.
So there's a
room where you shower and people watch you?
No, sort of. There's this that happens in it, but there's this room. Yeah, with quiet. Yeah. There's this room where you can kind of like, it's almost like your home base, but you can like see all your wardrobe stuff, and you can gear up and go, and that's a focus with the whole energy system or monster system. But there's gifts they've been showing off of. If you pan the camera, you can see Norman Reedus.
If you stare at his dick too much,
he just punches you. Yeah, like he's like a biker badass.
Literally, all I'm gonna do is.
Eventually, you should be like, okay, like
stare at Norman's Reedus.
There's criticism with that though too. Although it's like these games always have a weirdness to it, but like with Quiet, you mentioned that shower scene.
Right.
Quiet doesn't stop you from looking at her. I think eventually she did something to that effect, but not as extreme. But people are like saying like, why can't Quiet punch you when you're obviously ogling her? But there's issues with that.
It's different cultures.
It is. How long can you keep hiding behind that? I don't know. But eventually, and this is nothing crazy weird, but there's super extreme weird examples of that kind of thing in effect.
Yeah,
but I don't know much about that.
Yeah, but Japanese culture tends to be it's very more so different with the way they treat men and women than over here.
Yep. There's side quests that can be missed, which I really dig that idea.
Yeah.
Because that just encourages replayability.
That make it so much cooler if like when you see those random people in a field in Red Dead like that.
Oh right.
Other people may not see that.
Yep.
That'd be so much cooler.
There's plenty of stuff I missed in that game. Yeah, they really focused on that. And that was it. There's plenty of footage you can find online. I didn't want to go into that, but I just kind of wanted to pull some stuff from it. But you can really see how this is an actual game that's coming out. And there's story trailers they've put out that somehow make less sense when you watch them. But they talk about the president, you interacting with the president, and
Is
you
he
work
in
for
a
this
mech?
company. No,
Is he fighting the vice president?
I wouldn't doubt it, but as far as I can tell, no. But yeah, so that, I mean, it's coming out soon, and I like that he showed Kojima showed so much of the game. That's really cool. I mean,
And we're still confused.
and we're still confused. That's maybe the one game in a while where you can show as much as you want, and there's just so much more weirdness to it that it doesn't matter.
You show every cutscene, and we're still sitting there like, I don't.
Right? It's like,
The fuck?
okay.
Wasn't that Metal Gear Solid 2 where you watch the whole plot and you're just like, the fuck was...
In general, all those games, yeah, because I really never played them until Metal Gear Solid 5. And I had
Right.
no idea what's going on with the plot, but I still had a lot of fun with that game.
I want to say 5 kind of made sense, didn't it? Isn't that...
It made way more, yeah. It was more of
Patriots
Americanized.
or whatever it was?
That was Metal Gear Solid 2, I want to say, because 3 was Snake Eater, right? I want to say 3 was Snake Eater.
3 was Snake
4
Eater,
was the
2
PS3
was
release.
the one where Raiden was the character.
Okay.
I don't know that one has a subtitle. 4 was the fuck I don't know.
So I think 4 was that PS3, the first one on PS3.
Oh, then that's the one I'm thinking of. I thought that was
Gotcha.
Patriots.
No, I want to say that's 2. But I'm also not a Metal Gear Solid
okay.
expert. So don't quote me. But there was I played and beat Metal Gear Solid 5. There's a lot of remnants of that in this gameplay that they show off, where like you can tell it's not only the engine, I mean, it's a different engine. They got it from the guys from
Gorilla. Well, it'd be the same engine then, because that's what 5 was made on.
Well, I thought it's the Fox engine, whatever. It's from Konami. Like it's their own engine, separate.
I thought...
Right? Because remember there was a whole thing because he
You'd
went
have to look
across
this
the
up, but
country.
I think Fox Engine died at 4. I thought Metal Gear Solid 5 was made with the Gorilla engine, and I assume that's what they're using to make this game, if they're not using Unreal.
Gotcha. I'm pretty sure that's not the case, Gavin, and I'm gonna mud wrestle
Metal
you
Gear
to settle
Solid
this.
5 engine.
Yes.
Fox Engine. Oh,
Fox Engine.
Phantom Pain was made in the Fox Engine.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When he had that fallout with Konami, he traveled the world, and it was like this. They did like a YouTube series where he traveled the world talking to developers, trying to find which engine would work for him, and that's where we ended up with Gorilla.
Okay.
And they've talked about it too. Like they gave him the source code on a USB drive. It's like whatever you want to do it.
That did
And
not
so he
fit
had
on a
full
USB drive.
Apparently, like a metaphorical, I guess.
Right.
Drive. Yeah.
It was their penis. The company's collective penis.
That's basically it. It's insert this and
vape it. And that's how you do it.
So speaking of footage showing off, Gavin, we have Project Resistance. We watched the trailer, the CGI trailer last week. They actually showed off gameplay. Have you seen this yet?
Of
The actual game.
I was about to say ground floor Z. Clearly, my game that has never come out is more popular than what is this? A Resident Evil?
Yeah, whoever plays those. So this is their. So the tagline for the game is: "Will you work with your allies or as a survivor, or will you crush their attempt to escape as the vicious mastermind? The choice is yours in this 4 versus 1 asymmetrical co-op experience."
I feel like the choice is not yours; it's whatever side you're on.
Well, I'll write them a letter, Gavin, and I'll tell them to change.
You write them that letter.
So here's we'll watch some footage of this. So this is from PS or PlayStation, the official gameplay reveal trailer.
Yeah.
And I want to get your takes on it.
Okay.
We'll do an actual react, as the kids call it.
I remember the cinematic trailer. Didn't we watch that last time?
Yeah. So this is how they started off. Then they start showing some of the mechanics. So
Okay.
you're choosing, and we're switching into the engine.
I bet you it looks the same.
Probably.
It's a fucking turret.
I think they're going with that Project Resistance game title still. I think they're going to change it to something else,
It
like
is a
RE
dumb
something.
title. Yeah, they should change it.
So 4 player, 4 versus
Third
1,
person,
right?
yeah.
Third person.
Work together.
I get the vibe of like that Friday the 13th or those other games where you kind of just that same kind of vibe to me. But
I think
So
I mean the
hazards you
main
can
difference is like in Friday in like Dead by Daylight the enemy is invincible, and then Friday the 13th he's almost invincible.
I see.
Where this you're more of a predator.
yeah, now you're watching through surveillance and placing hazards, but also releasing zombies.
Ooh, that melee looked bad. Just
think this is
punching at it, it's reacting whatever way it wanted to.
Mm.
I wonder how early on this is.
Yeah, true. I wonder. So gameplay as the mastermind. I think with Friday the 13th, it was random when you could be Jason. So I wonder if you can. It's also random when you can play as the mastermind.
Right. Yeah. You could opt in to be Jason, but
Right.
turn the lights off. Ooh,
Yep,
spooky,
just to
scary.
extra fuck with them, set traps.
Got him.
This looks like the RE7 engine. The last remake they did of RE2, it looks like the same engine.
Yeah. Now this just makes me want to play Killing Floor.
You can control zombies directly.
Oh, that's cool.
Killing Floor was that fast-paced first-person shooter? Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't zombies. They were Zeds.
Okay.
Which, to be fair, they were different than zombies. They were like zombies with like implements on them, and like
I see.
they're pretty bad. Oh, so
Now
you
you
can
control
control
Mr. X.
Yeah, Mr.
And
X.
X gonna give it to you.
He sure is.
It'd be nice to play as him. He was terrifying in RE2.
Yeah. Now remember, kids, if you can't get it on your own, X go and deliver it to you.
Yes, this has been brought to you by.
Closed beta test.
Yeah, so there's a closed beta in October.
Let me ask you a question here, Fonzie.
Mm-hmm.
Does that look fun to you?
No, but no. But I mean, it's not for me. It's for this crowd that likes those 4v1, these, multiplayer kind of. We talked about Evolve, Friday the 13th. It's not for me, but
but I like those style of games, and that gameplay just looked rough.
I see. Well, I mean, this might be now they're announcing a beta, so this has got to be early on. But how much are they going to change before the initial release? I don't remember the actual time frame for the release if they have one yet.
Find out. I think that was too early to show that game. If it's gonna improve, that was too early.
Gotcha. Well, you think the Project Resistance tagline is because they've still yet to, assign it a name because this is early on? I wonder.
That could be.
Yeah.
I think they're sticking with that stupid name though.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt
I
it.
hate to be the pessimistic Patty over here, but these are my grim forecasts for Project Resistance.
You're probably right. I do like that they have more confidence now with Capcom to start to, create more games in the Resident Evil franchise. I like that because they've had the RE7 was strong, RE2 remake was strong, so, why not branch out? It's just personally not for me, but we'll see. Maybe they turn this around and make it more fun. But or release another game mode within this game that is more enticing, but maybe more remnant of the single player kind of mode. But yeah, really for me, seeing them fast track to RE3 remake would be really dope. Eventually an RE8 would be dope too, but I feel like that's pretty far down the line.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is what it is. It's something.
I appreciate that they're at least taking a risk. I wish they were throwing. It looks like they're probably not throwing enough money at that risk.
It's possible. Yeah.
Or enough time. Maybe
Right.
not enough time with that one. Again, being a pessimistic Patty over here.
That's the scientific term is pessimistic.
Pulling away that football right before he kicks it. Just that was her name, right?
God dang it. From Charlie Brown, yeah.
Yeah.
I always think of the wah, 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 wah. That's how I hear myself in my
I have a
mind.
couple of coworkers that's what they're starting to say.
I see.
I don't.
Gavin, I know you're a huge Bill Murray fan, and how do you feel about a Groundhog Day sequel as a VR game? What does that do for
How does Bill Murray feel about that? Because Bill Murray didn't like Groundhog's Day.
you? He didn't, really.
No, that's what tore apart him and Harold Ramis's friendship.
Were they both in the movie? I haven't seen
Harold
it in a
Ramis
long time.
directed it. So
Oh,
Harold Ramis wanted it to be a comedy.
yeah.
And Bill Murray wanted it to be like a very sad drama.
Yeah, I feel like it was down the line where I don't remember that movie being overtly funny, but it was.
It was pretty
There's funny
fucking funny.
times
You
to
need
it.
to go back and watch
Yeah,
it.
I need to
It's
watch it
really funny.
Okay.
It's grim. Like there's
Gotcha.
definitely like a 10-minute or not 10-minute, but like a 5-minute collage of him killing himself in different ways.
Oh, yeah, trying out the ways out of the whatever the
Right.
format or whatever.
But it was good, and I think it was like that was some prime like Bill Murray just getting by on his sheer charm,
Gotcha.
and it worked for that. But yeah, he wanted it to be serious, and then Harold Ramis wanted it to be a comedy, and Harold Ramis won out, and then he was like, "Well, we're just not friends anymore."
Dang.
So, and that's
Okay.
why it was such a big deal when they both did voice acting for
the game.
Ghostbuster the game. Yeah,
Gotcha.
but
I didn't realize that. So then
Yeah.
you're on board for the VR sequel to Groundhog Day then?
I don't. How is
There's a trailer.
Like
You wanna watch
father.
the
Oh,
trailer?
there's a son, so Bill Murray's not in it.
Yes,
then.
it carries over the son who has the same issue.
We're getting a lot of these games recently. We had what was it? Outer Wilds, or Outer World, whatever one I played.
Yeah.
Then we're getting that one that was
with the
shown
groundhog
at
mechanic.
E3, the top-down version.
Oh, sure, yeah.
I feel like there's another one. Like it's a great mechanic. I really like it.
It worked well for a video game.
Yeah.
It seems interesting to use this property, but they might have bought the rights for $5 or whatever and said, "Hey, let's make a Groundhog Day."
Yeah. I think
But,
I think it's really interesting how this mechanic helps with world building.
Gotcha. So this is Groundhog Day, like father, like son. It's VR. It will be on PSVR and Oculus and all that, the whole shebang. So we're watching the footage of it.
Such a weird idea.
Tequila Works is a well-known developer. I forget what else they make, but they made some VR games before.
Yeah.
So welcome to Gobbler's Knob. Interesting.
What the fuck?
This looks like the same engine as like My Neighbor or What's a Neighbor Next Door.
Yeah.
Right. What an original name. Thanks, Dad. That's my dad for you. One of something was never enough. He was kind of a big deal in this town. Living in his shadow was kind of tough. Then I found out he had a secret.
Doesn't look like Bill Murray.
Over and over again. Groundhog Day. Sounds like fun, right? Well, it's not. See, seems like now I'm stuck in my own loop, getting ready for the ceremony. Let's do this again. Hopefully today's the day I break the cycle. But if not, there's always tomorrow. Tomorrow is today. I don't know, Phil, you're going crazy.
It seems like there's a focus on the writing with the having this internal
Right.
dialogue you can hear.
That looked like a Telltale game.
Yeah, I think I get that same vibe.
Well, I don't like the trailer, but I hope the game's good. I think that
Yeah.
could make a really good game. Like
Yeah.
the fact that they're going buck wild with it. Like you got a car plowing through the parking lot. They showed a couple
Right.
other things that looked, I think, fun to play.
Yeah.
So yeah, if they go nuts with it, I think it could be a good game.
So there are some details on it. So Ryan McCaffrey of IGN writes, Groundhog Day, like Father, like Son, is, yes, a canonical sequel to the 1993 classic Bill Murray film. And yes, it's not just a video game, but a VR game at that. If all of that has left you scratching your head, take a look at the gameplay trailer above. Groundhog Day, like Father, like Son, will be released on September 17th for PSVR, Oculus Rift, HTC Vive. It is developed by Tequila Works, which has made
that was the other game I was thinking of. Sexy Brutale is also a game that used this rewind mechanic, and it
Gotcha.
used it very, very well. That game is fantastic.
Gotcha. I don't know if I'm familiar with Sexy
Brutale. I think I told you to play it at one point. It's honestly, you could knock that out in probably 4-6 hours.
Is this a VR game as well, or this is just using that mechanic?
It's got this really cute kind of isometric view to it.
Yeah.
And everyone's got these. Yeah, it's just got a cool story that you're unraveling. You're understanding a little bit better each time you solve it, and you try and save people once, right? So you can save them, and then you get their mask.
Okay.
Which you can use, which gives you powers. So you can't save them every time. Like basically, if you're not saving them, they're gonna die. There's no way to save all of them in one run.
Okay.
But the puzzles are just really cool.
Do you
and
keep
very
their masks, or
satisfying.
you have to strategize and?
Yeah, you
find
keep
the
their
mask in the
masks.
right order?
You
Okay.
keep their masks. So you get to keep those powers, and it's very satisfying when you solve these puzzles.
Gotcha.
And what's going on with those guys? It had a really good story. When you get to the end, the twist was very cool, and it even tells you halfway through the game what the twist is.
Oh, really?
And I like it when games do that. I think Killer 7 did that right at the beginning, where it's like, you're crazy and you have 7 personalities. And when you get to the end of the game, it's like, wait, what?
Gotcha. That's cool. No, yeah, you might have told me about this, but I guess I forgot.
Yeah,
on
it's
PlayStation.
gorgeous. It's a gorgeous looking game.
Okay.
It's very cool. Really only takes 4 to 6 hours to beat.
Gotcha. We'll have to try that. It might be on sale too on PlayStation.
Yeah.
This gameplay trailer is from 2017, so I'm sure.
Yeah, I think
out
it's
for a
on
while.
Switch now too. But yeah, so
dang.
I trust them. I think they've done that mechanic once, so I think they probably had some ideas. The only thing I don't like is that it's VR. So if they make it too interactive with the controllers, you won't be able to do some non VR version, which would be sad. So I'd like to play that.
I think you might be right. Yeah.
So.
Well, Gavin, we got that. We have. Did you catch any of the Apple Arcade announcements that happened?
What?
So yeah, so at the Apple,
I saw
keynote,
the trailer for what's his name's new show. Which
I know there's a focus on. They have like a Apple TV, like they're putting a lot of money.
yeah,
into that.
what's his name?
But,
Jason Mimosa.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
Or it's who's the guy that played the Dothraki guy?
Yeah, it's Mimosa, yeah, or Samosa, but
Yeah, he's got this really good looking show that no one's gonna fucking watch.
yeah, it's stuck on Apple TV. But and I'm not sure if their whole Apple Arcade is separate from Apple TV. If there's some kind of lump, subscription service, but they did have their Apple keynote where they talked about the iPhone 11. They also talked about Apple Arcade. Just pulled up some news on that. So this is from Engadget.com. Devindra Ardwar writes. The Apple Arcade's best selling point, games you'll actually want to play. Despite being just $5, Apple Arcade still seems like a tough sell for some gamers who are already bombarded with other monthly services like Xbox Game Pass. While we don't know the terms of Apple's arrangements with arcade developers, the company has said it'll support its partners in a variety of ways, from contributing towards development costs to offering marketing and testing support. It's in Apple's best interest,
valuable.
right? It's in Apple's best interest that every game on the platform shines, after all. Developers I've talked to think joining up with Apple Arcade is a safer bet than duking it out with the countless mobile games on iOS and Android. They won't be able to bank millions if their title happens to be a viral hit, but that's also a scenario that's exceedingly more rare today. Most of these developers are
They won't be able to bank billions if it's.
So he reiterates in that article where it's like because it's a separate marketplace from iOS and Android that you're kind of limited with your release because it's Apple Arcade. A lot of these games are exclusive to Apple Arcade to make it more enticing for people to buy the subscription service. So you're cutting your potential customer base to a smaller portion, but you shine more on that because it's there's less games there. But
Gotcha.
But apparently they offer these other services like it's cutting development costs or whatever testing they help with. So they're just kind of maybe more indie game dev friendly with getting people on Apple Arcade. But and also these games run on Apple hardware like their phones, so they're kind of not lower end, but like a lot of mobile games or a lot of indie games can work back and forth with like this kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah.
But the downside of the arrangement, of course, is that it restricts games to Apple's ecosystem. Some titles are completely exclusive to Apple Arcade, while others are exclusive to Apple devices but will be available on consoles and other systems. Either way, Android owners will miss out. So there is a trailer featuring all the games on Apple Arcade that I was going to.
How many of them are Fruit Ninja?
Fruit Ninja? Yeah. Fruit Ninja like, yes. So we have this trailer here from the Apple Arcade. This is their official overview trailer, just showing off some of the games they'll have on their service.
Oh, they got that one? Very cool.
That looks familiar, but I haven't seen that.
Yeah, that's one I'm really excited for on the Epic Game Store. I'm sorry, was that just straight up Link?
That looked like it, but it was a hardcore copy of
What
Zelda.
the fuck?
Yeah.
That looks pretty. Yeah, I'm seeing.
It looks like Breath of the Wild 2.
The fuck is this?
Right.
What? Oh, I know what that game is. That's the new one from Clay Entertainment with The Floor is Lava or something.
Oh, okay.
So I'm sure it'll be good.
So it's toting 100+ launch titles for the Apple Arcade gaming service. It will launch September 19th for $5 per month. So that's very soon. Yeah, maybe we can test it out. You don't have any Apple products, do you?
I
I don't. I actually never owned an iPhone. So.
I was raised on Macs
Yeah?
when I was a kid. I didn't have until maybe I was 13, 14 when I finally had a PC.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there was a couple good games in there. So
yeah, we'll see. $5 a month. That's super, cheap to jump in and just try it out.
that's nothing. That's cheaper than Netflix.
Right.
That's cheaper than Hulu.
Yep.
I can't remember how much Amazon Prime is. Might be same.
Well, it's included with the Prime service, right? So
Right, but you
whatever
still
it
got
is
to pay
per
for
year.
that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you do. Gav, I know you're a huge Final Fantasy fan. Did you see some of the remake footage for Final Fantasy VII?
I did not. My mithril is tingling. That's the thing, right?
Please put it back in your body because we're going to watch this footage here. This is shown off at TGS. This is just actual gameplay
Is that
footage.
Rocksteady or Bebop right there?
Right. So we pull up the trailer here. Now I have it played at 2 times the speed, but I just want to see your initial impressions on this trailer here. So they're showing off some of the actual gameplay.
Tifa whooping ass.
Now this is the example of like there's not just turn-based gameplay, but like you can actually there's more of an action option to it, right? This person is actually hitting these commands live, with the gameplay.
Whoa, she looks so crazy.
How do you think you'll end up if you do play this? Will you do like the turn-based traditional, or will you mix the action elements to it?
I'll probably do the action elements.
Do you have any interest in going back to that turn-based gameplay?
I should probably finish Final Fantasy VII on PlayStation or on the Switch before.
Right. Now, did you play it when it initially came out? Like, were you one of the people like early on? It was like your game of the century kind of games.
No, I never started playing it until like this year.
Gotcha.
When I started playing on Switch.
I see.
I just never had a PlayStation, and
right.
I mean, God, I was young when this particular game came out. I remember
it's like 98. Like that?
Yeah, I went over to my buddy's house, and he's like, "Look at all the places you can go here." He's like, "You're going here, you're here." I'm like, "Wow, this." And it was like in his head, he had it all mapped out. But to me, I'm just like, "How are you not lost? How do you know where you're going?
Right.
You've gone so many places. I know where. How are you gonna get back?"
That's funny. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's I think, I'm not, in the turn-based combat in Final Fantasy VII when I've been playing the remake, it's so fucking grindy.
Gotcha.
So
do you think it holds up?
Huh?
Do you think it holds up, that original gameplay?
I think the story so far has held up.
Well, just like that gameplay, the turn-based aspect to it.
No,
Okay.
It has not.
Gotcha.
But I think this will be fun in action-y. So
Gotcha.
I'm gonna check
skip
out
around here, but yeah,
that's interesting that you must be able to get a different sword than the Buster sword, which I never got that far. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the.
Jesus Christ, that's what the summons look like? Just get the fuck out the way. Why are you guys like hurting?
So they've summoned that other demon character to fight the other demon character?
Right.
Okay.
Just let him do his thing.
The engine looks awesome, amazing. Is this like the newer Final Fantasy game engine?
Must be. I like the fact that this is what Tifa should look like. She should just like this badass like kung fu or whatever martial art she's doing.
Gotcha.
Just whooping that ass. That looks cool. It's very pretty.
Yeah, very pretty. But yeah, they never called out to me, but I know you're a big. This one out of all of them would actually pull me in, just like the change of the gameplay mechanic. But yeah, also the story doesn't make any goddamn sense to me. But
right.
I'm also an outsider.
Who's not a clone? They're all clones.
Gavin, that is all I have for you this week.
Trying to think. I don't feel like I had anything.
Yep.
Pretty well covered it.
Yep. We got
there's a game I'd love to show you though. Just get your impression on this.
Gotcha.
Did I ever show you Overpass?
Overpass.
So YouTube Overpass game.
Yeah. I think I just Googled a literal overpass.
You sure did. Overpass. Is it on Steam? So this is
gameplay.
Yeah, you may need a the fuck?
This is Overpass. Switch, PS4, Xbox One, PC gameplay footage. Is this not it? Is it a driving game?
Nope.
Okay.
Sure as hell isn't.
Might be another one. Overpass announcement trailer. Overpass. This all shows like off-roading.
There it is. So that's Overpass gameplay. So this was. You may want to turn on the music because it's a rhythm game. So this is one. It's like, I don't know how you describe this to people, and I had it described to me once at TwitchCon, and I'm like, I know less now than I did. But this is made by a gentleman goes by the name of One Mr. Bean.
Okay.
And this has sort of been his passion project after he made Sound Dodger with Adult Swim.
Okay, nice.
And it's just such a weird, cool game, and it's a rhythm game.
Gotcha.
So you got the little eye up top.
I like the art style.
Right.
Reminds me of this kind of 90s vibe to it.
So there's like an icon on these overpasses, and you gotta...
Oh, you mentioned something like this to me. Yeah.
Right? Isn't this neato? Oh, you're shifting a little
bit.
bit.
So you're shifting to closer to them, or what are you doing when it's a complete overpass?
Yeah, I guess you're shifting, and you have to hit the icons. Yeah, it probably is a little bit loud.
That music is dope.
All right. I bet he probably made it himself. Well, he may have made it himself, but...
So I know when you initially described it to me, I was picturing like an actual overpass. You're on some kind of turnpike or whatever, and you're just driving. You see the signs, but it's almost like a futuristic or like another world. That you're basically
I think
riding
the
through.
first level is at least an overpass.
Gotcha.
But yeah, clearly you're gonna have that shit going on.
So I'm not quite connecting my mind what button you press to what's happening on screen when you do it in time. So is it like just
Right.
directions, like left,
Yeah,
right?
directions, or there's like, I think there's just like a space bar, or like an any button.
Gotcha. Yeah, it looks really cool.
So I know you like your weird games.
Yeah.
I thought you would dig that.
That's awesome. I feel like you could port this to Xbox, PlayStation,
Switch.
for sure.
Why
For
not?
Switch, yeah.
Yeah. I think it's on Unity. It should be no problem.
Although
but-
because the whole concept is, it seems like you're kind of like focusing above you, almost like you're riding a car or driving a car.
yeah.
This might even work better in VR, just because you're fully immersed, or at least
but
at
you
home
can't
on a
though,
screen.
because clearly like it's gonna converge at that one point. So if you move your head and the camera
That's
doesn't
true.
move,
Yeah, that's true.
my immersion.
At least on a big screen at home, like like an actual dedicated movie watching screen at home.
Yeah.
But that's really cool.
It's just I thought it was
music, too.
weird and nifty, and I thought you'd like it.
Mhm.
It's
I like that. So that was an example of like one level, and then so here's like a foresty kind of freeway kind of thing.
right.
That's awesome. Do you know if I wonder what what they've done with combining with other artists to make songs, or this is the actual developer making these songs?
I
I wonder.
don't know. That would be very interesting to know.
Gotcha.
Trying to think if there are any other weird games that are.
You know what? Switch on Switch, Link's Awakening is coming out. I want to say end of the week.
Ooh, I'm not going to be ready for that by that time.
Yeah.
I will not have beaten Borderlands.
Gotcha. I am interested in that one. I probably won't play it right when it comes out, but yeah, we got this is a bunch of movies here, but yeah, Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, that is coming out September 20th, which is at the end of the week. Here, yep, that's the next big one.
What was that? I'm sorry, there was a shot of the guy from. Oh, was that Nad?
Oh, from the boys or whatever.
Yeah, they're talking about season 2. It
I
was
need to watch
such a
that.
fucking good show, dude. You got it, like.
Eventually, I will get into it because that's on the list of stuff.
And it was one of those ones too where like watching it, I'm like, is it good or do I just like it?
Okay.
Because it's very, very plausible that it's a terrible show.
Sure.
But yeah, seeing the reviews afterwards, like, all right, I'm not,
You weren't the
I'm
only
not
one.
crazy. It's a good show.
Yep.
So.
Nice. All right, man. We'll end it there. Where can they find you on the interwebs?
At Drunk Devs on Twitter.
Nice. You can find us on Plastic Heart Pod on Twitter. I'm also Fonzie Pants on Twitter. Alrighty, guys, that is it for this week. We will see you later. Bye-bye.